It's a little late this year, but just in time for Oscars week. It's my top 11 movies of 2015. Now, this is just my list, and if you agree or disagree with it, hey, you're certainly welcome to. This is just how I felt about the year 2015 in movies. I want to start off by mentioning a movie that is not on my list. It's on a lot of other people's list, and I feel like if I don't tell you up front, you might be just watching the countdown and waiting for it to pop up. And that's Mad Max Fury Road. I thought the movie was a pretty good action movie, but I think it revealed a little about me that I'm not the biggest fan of action movies. It was awesome, kind of to watch, but I kind of didn't care that much about the characters. So, by all means, if you liked it, you're certainly welcome to. That's just my opinion, but it really didn't do much for me. So, if you're waiting for that on the list, it's not coming. I just wanted to mention up top that it's not going to be there. So, normally I would do a top 10, but this year I decided to do a top 11, and that's because number 11 is Ex Machina. And when I looked at my top 10 and Ex Machina wasn't in it, I decided I had to pull it out to 11 because I couldn't make a list and not include this movie. It was tremendous. I've still only watched it once. I do certainly plan on going back and watching it a second time. It's such an interesting movie to watch unfold and is really a cool mystery movie wrapped in a sci-fi movie in a small cast. It's so interesting and it was a blast to watch. If you haven't seen it by now, I would highly recommend it. Well, I guess it goes without saying, since these are my top 11 movies, I recommended all of these. Number 10 on my list is Kingsman. I really enjoyed Kingsman. I think it shows a little about me what I want for in a movie between Kingsman and Mad Max. I want silliness, kind of, and fun. I thought Mad Max was a big action thrill ride, but I didn't care what was happening. Kingsman, I attached a little more to the characters. I found it the perfect blend of act. Like when I watch an action movie, if it's just action, I'm not really that interested. I've kind of never liked Stallone style action movies because of that. The silliness in Kingsman was absolutely perfect for exactly what I wanted. I really, really enjoyed Kingsman. If nothing else, the church scene alone puts it on this list. But the whole movie, I really enjoyed. The ending was terrific. One of the best uses of a well-known classical tune that you'll ever hear. Number 8 on my list is The Martian. This is the third year in a row we got a really good space movie with Gravity and Interstellar the last 2 years. But once again, it was a blast to watch. I thought it was, the trailer kind of shows everything the movie's going to be, and still it winds up being a pretty fun. This was one of the most fun movies of the year, while also being kind of a sci-fi drama. It was start to finish a great movie. Even though I knew it was Matt Damon, I didn't care. He was Mark Watney, and I wanted him to get off Mars, and boy, was I concerned about him. Man, if he didn't get off Mars, I was going to be worried, even though I know that's Matt Damon. I've seen him lost on other planets before. It was a great movie, and I hate in commercials where they say you'll be standing in the aisles cheering, and I certainly wasn't doing that. But if anyone had done that in this movie, I would have been okay with it because it was that much fun. Number 8 on my list is Inside Out. Pixar has done it again, and they've done it as well as they've ever done before. This was absolutely fantastic. It was, like funny, happy movie at times, and it was soul-killingly depressing at times. Of all the things I saw this year, this still has some of the most depressing moments in the entire list. There's quite a few other things with depressing moments, and the kids movie, of course, shows up as some of the heaviest stuff. It was terrific. I can't recommend it enough. It was my favorite Pixar movie since WALL-E, and really only WALL-E and the Toy Story movies can compete in my mind. The movie was phenomenal. The next movie on my list, number 7, was The Big Short. Unfortunately, this came out in a bit of a down period for me where I didn't really get a chance to talk about it before right now, but obviously as it's the 7th best movie I saw here, I really enjoyed it. Thought Adam McKay did a great job telling this complicated financial story in human terms while also making some extremely intricate, detailed stuff at least easy enough to follow with the story. I thought this was one of the best educational movies I've ever seen in terms of taking something really complicated and dumbing it down to a level where the common moviegoer like myself could understand it. I thought that was tremendous. It was also interesting that the movie kind of doesn't have good guys in it. There's protagonists of the movie, but they're kind of scumbags too. So I thought that was an interesting choice, and obviously because there were really no good guys in that whole situation in real life, I thought it was good that it was represented that way. The performances across the board were terrific, and it was a really funny entertaining movie for a topic that I don't think most people would expect to be a really funny, entertaining movie. So they did an absolutely tremendous job with it. Number six on my list, I saw around the same time and didn't have a chance to talk about it, and that's Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. He did it again. This guy is always on the money, and man, he's I've loved everything he's done, but lately I feel like he's doing better than ever. I loved Django, and I absolutely love The Hateful Eight. It's 3 hours long. It flew by. I thought it was really funny. Walton Goggins, who I only really know of being in Justified, was tremendous in the movie. He was hysterical. I think it was maybe the best performance in Samuel L. Jackson's career. You know, he's a guy that I think we kind of forget about because he's in so much that he's everywhere, so you kind of forget he's there. But man, he was good in this. And I know it's 3 hours long, but it flew by for me. I saw it in the 70 millimeter special screening, and it was an absolute blast. Number five on my list is Sicario. Emily Blunt plays an FBI agent who gets pulled in to investigate or do some stuff with the cartels, and she's never quite clear what exactly she's doing. And it's a really fascinating movie to watch unfold because she doesn't exactly know what she's doing. So the whole time you're following the movie, you have no idea really what's going on either. It was an absolutely brutal movie. It's extremely violent, but it was terrific. It was directed by, I believe I'm saying his name right, Denis Villeneuve. He had done Prisoners a couple years ago, which I think was 2013. I absolutely loved that movie, and he did it again. There's one scene in particular in Sicario that is one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen in my life. It was so good and so well made. I can't recommend this movie enough. It was terrific. I don't think it got enough. I don't think it got enough credit. It didn't seem to do great at the box office. It seemed to be completely ignored in the Academy Awards. I thought it was tremendous, and it should absolutely be seen more than it was. And as much as I loved everything I've previously mentioned, the top four on my list is where it gets into movies that I really, really loved. These movies all meant so much to me. They were all so good. I I would say everything on this list is worth seeing, but if you haven't seen these movies, I can't speak strongly enough about how much you should see these movies. Number four on my list is Room. It's about it's about a young woman who is kidnapped, stuck in just a room, and locked there. Eventually, she has a kid that she has in the room, and she has to raise a child in a one room that she's locked in. It's starring Brie Larson, who has been in a bunch of stuff. She was in Scott Pilgrim. She was in 21 Jump Street. She was even in The League in the earlier seasons for a short period of time. She had previously done a movie called Short Term 12, which I believe is still on Netflix now, which I really enjoyed. And she's a shoo-in for Best Actress for this movie. It was tremendous. The little boy who plays her son, Jacob Tremblay, was robbed by not being nominated for an Oscar. Truthfully, I think he deserves to win the Oscar. And the fact that he wasn't nominated is heartbreaking. This movie is so good. Whatever you do, if you're going to see the movie, don't watch the trailer. I spoke with a friend of mine who also saw the movie and then watched the trailer. Neither of us saw the trailer ahead of time, and we both said thank God for that, because the trailer gives away entirely too much about the movie. Go into it blind. It is such a good movie. It had one of the most edge of my seat scenes I've ever seen. I couldn't handle myself. I was fidgeting. It was almost too much for me. I can't remember a movie ever pushing me that far, and it was such a good movie. I honestly feel kind of bad putting it at 4, but that's just how strongly I feel about the next 3. Number 3 on my list was Spotlight. That is the true story of the newspaper at the Boston Globe uncovering the Catholic Church's sex scandal in the early 2000s, late 90s. It is honestly one of the best made movies I've ever seen. The story is so well told, and at times it's horrifying, and it's hard to watch, and it should be based on the subject matter. It shouldn't be a fun, lighthearted movie. And I thought they did a great job honoring the story. It is, of everything on this list, there were some things, obviously, 2 more that I liked more than this movie, but I don't know if there was anything that was more well made than this. This is one of the best examples of storytelling I've ever seen. It was heartbreaking, and it was so well made. I cannot recommend this movie enough. It was a flat out masterpiece. Number two on my list was a movie that really snuck up on me. If you would have asked me a year ago what I thought was going to be on my top 10, I don't think I would have even heard of this movie at the time. And that's Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's a movie about a young man, his friend named Earl, and a dying girl. This girl he goes to school with gets cancer, and his mom forces him to go hang out with her, and the friendship kind of brews throughout the process. This movie hit me like a ton of bricks. I should clarify that it's almost a movie that seems like it's designed from the ground up to be exactly for me, like everything I want in a movie. But it was just perfect for the type of movie I would want. Of all the movies on the list, this is the movie I spent the most time this year trying to convince people to watch, because I don't think nearly enough people saw it, and I thought it was amazingly good. I can't wait for this guy's next movie. There's a video online of him talking to Martin Scorsese telling him how much he loved the movie. And let's face it, Martin Scorsese knows movies quite a bit. With 2, 3, and 4 on my list, they're all movies that I would have a lot to say about. But I wouldn't have a lot to say about it to someone who hasn't seen it yet, because I don't want to ruin anything. So there's not a lot to discuss if you haven't seen it, but oh man, they're all worth checking out. And while I just spent all that time talking about these smaller movies that maybe didn't kill it at the box office, my number one movie of the year is, of course, Star Wars. I love movies so much, and if I think about why, it's because I grew up watching them. And there are a few movies that I really attached to as a child, like Star Wars. And then to come back to that universe as an adult for the first time and have this movie, it was just perfect. It was everything I wanted in the movie, and actually a lot more. I kind of hope for, Luke Han and Leia having more adventures, and that was all I expected. The fact that they introduced new characters, I knew they would do that, but the fact that they introduced new characters that I liked even better than the original characters, it was just perfect. Nothing brought me as much joy this year as this movie did, and I really can't remember the last time a movie brought me this much joy. I'd probably have to go back to either The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, just having that much anticipation and finally getting to return to that universe that I missed so much. No spoilers, but the scene in the end with the lightsaber in the snow, it's just perfect. I cannot wait for episode 8. And the gift J.J. Abrams really gave me was, man, there was nothing I anticipated like this movie in a very, very, very long time. And seeing the movie, knew, like, okay, well, this is it. This is the last time I'm going to have this long a wait for a new Star Wars movie. And I walked out of the theater thinking, oh my God, I can't wait for the next Star Wars movie. He managed to give me everything I wanted and leave me wanting just as much as when I came in. And that's really, I can't think of anything else giving me that. What did you think of my list? Do you agree, disagree? Anything I had missing? Mad Max. That you thought should be on there? Anything you thought was on there that absolutely didn't belong on there? And if I convinced you to watch any of these movies, please let me know. I would love to hear if you actually watched one of these movies because of me. And then if you did, let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you hated it. I started talking about movies online several years ago, kind of to share movies I really liked with friends of mine who didn't have time to watch the amount of movies I did. And it hasn't happened often, but every time someone tells me that they watched something because of my recommendation, that's a great feeling. It's awesome to hear, especially if they liked them. I love movies, and I love sharing that love with movies with people. And if I can do that, hey, I feel like I did my job. So, as always, thank you for watching, and let me know what you thought. Thank you.